All right, so let's just talk about perfectionism for a second, which is like, is perfectionism a bad trait? I think yes and no. Like, one, I think it's extremely debilitating because you're trying to like thread the needle every single time you do something. You want something done just so. And at least for me, like if I want something done just so, I can get crazy in my head about it. And that's not, like from a mental health perspective, a great place to be. Like, I don't like it when I'm obsessing on something and it can only be one way. I'm like, I got to get out of this jag. I think striving for greatness is a great skill at work. I think striving to push yourself and learn new things is an awesome way to approach work. I think being so satisfied when you nail something is an awesome way to feel at work. But the insistence that nothing can ever go wrong, that everything has to be done a certain way. One, I think it's annoying to your coworkers and people don't appreciate it. Two, I think it puts you into a box like we just talked about. And three, I think it creates mental anguish because you can't control everything in life. You can't control everything at work. You can't even control everything about yourself, let alone what happens with everyone around you. So trying to have so much control with not only your stuff, but everybody else's and the world at large is just, it's like you're going to fail. And that fear of failure kind of kicks in, and then you just feel bad and anxious about everything. So I think striving for greatness is great. Trying to be perfect is not. Q&A. Perfectionism. How does a messy coworker coexist with a perfectionist? Never seems to work out. I think perfectionists and messy people are kind of perfect together. Like the perfectionist needs something to do and something to organize and like tactical shit to obsess over. And the messy person is just like thinking and exploring in their brain, or they're maybe distracted, or they're daydreaming, or they're imagining things, or they have visions. So I think if a perfectionist is trying to control other people than themselves, that tends to get a little bit messy, forgive the pun. But so long as a perfectionist knows their lane and they're okay about their OCD perfectionism, I think highly creative, highly disorganized, space cadet type of people go really great with people who are extremely anal and want the trains to run on time. Like, I've always felt that in my career, by putting those types of people together, really great things can happen. Now, it's not, there's moments where it's going to be annoying. Like when I'm at home, I drink half of a glass of water or half of a glass whatever and leave it everywhere. Like drives everyone nuts. It's sloppy, it's messy, but I'm really just thinking and I'm distracted. So when you're pairing a perfectionist type of person with a messy, distracted person, gives you something to talk about. It gives you a reason to being, and it helps you learn about each other's way of doing things. So don't write it off if you have a messy coworker and you're super anal, or you're a visionary and you have someone who's a perfectionist. Just try to understand each other's boundaries, try to understand how you can learn from one another, and try to coexist in a way that the perfectionist brings some order to things and the messy person brings some delightful chaos. How can you still enjoy what you do and take pride in the quality of your work when it's not appreciated? Well, you appreciate your work. My biggest thing is, why is everyone looking for everybody else's approval? If you think your work is great, then your work is great. So long as you're intellectually honest with yourself about, is your work great? I think one of the things that's happening right now is people are looking for so much validation and so much approval and so many attaboys from everyone else. Like, what matters is that you're proud of your work. Now, if you work in a place where you're busting your ass and you're doing great work and it is empirically great work, and it's not appreciated, it's never recognized, nobody says thank you for it, then you're probably at an asshole company and you should move on and find a place where you will be appreciated. But the first thing is, you should appreciate your work. It's your career. It's your output. Like, nobody cares about it but you, in the same way that nobody cares about it as much as you do. And nobody's going to get as much experience from that, as much learning from it, or as much satisfaction as you. So be happy when you do great work and be proud of yourself. Celebrate yourself. Reward yourself. Tell yourself you're great. if you work in a place where you keep doing that and no one acknowledges it, then the culture is probably not great. You're probably not in a system that rewards greatness or that rewards things in general. And if those things are important to you, and my vote is try to make that stuff as least important to you as possible, go find an environment where your work will be appreciated. But the biggest thing is appreciate it yourself first. Third and last Q&A. How do I stop doing it all myself because I want to ensure it's done right and on time? I struggle with this one. Self-reliance is an amazing thing at work, and it's also deadly. Self-reliance can be debilitating because, let's face it, nobody is going to do it the way you do it. And in your mind and that voice in the back of your head, it's going to be like, nobody's going to do it as good as you would do it. So I think perfectionism and the insistence on being the only person who can do it only one way is hugely, hugely, hugely limiting. It means that you'll never give anyone the chance to teach you. It means you'll never give anyone the chance to fail. It means you'll never give anyone a chance to find a new way to do things. And ultimately, you're just going to be stuck in this box where you're just making the same box all the time. So I understand being self-reliant at work. I understand being a perfectionist about your work. But I also think you have to, at some point, one, teach somebody else, and two, let go. And if you teach someone well, that person's going to mess up. They're not going to do it your way. It's definitely not going to be perfect, but you'll have given your skill to someone else, and you'll be there for them you'll be there for them as they find their path. And it means that you can take on new, bigger things, that you can learn, that you can do something a new way, that you can fuck up and grow from it. So don't get caught in a box of having to control everything, and don't get caught in the box of believing everything can only be done one way. That's bullshit. You are replaceable. Your way of doing things is erasable. So understand that. Teach someone else how to do it. Still hug them when they do it wrong or they do it differently, and then go take on something new yourself.